Hi, my name is Tony, and in this short video we'll talk about some of the common issues in braking that you'll encounter with your new bike. The most common thing you may notice is when you receive the bike, it's perfectly dialed in and ready to ride. We just ask that you do a pre-ride inspection and make sure nothing came up during shipping. But over time, let's say about 30 to 90 days, your bike is going to go through a braking in process. And part of that process is the cables will stretch out. And because the brakes are actuated with a cable, they'll get softer over time, so they won't feel as tight as when you first got the bike. We account for that by setting up the brakes to be pretty tight out of the box. And over time, when they loosen up, they'll be in that kind of ideal sweet spot position. But if you notice that the brakes break in too much and they feel too soft, so that when you squeeze the brake lever, it goes all the way back to the handlebar, you'll need to adjust it to add some of that tension back in. And the brakes that we have on our bikes have a barrel adjuster up at the brake lever, which will allow you to make this adjustment quick, easy, and without any tools. So on a new bike, just out of the box, you'll notice when you squeeze the brakes, you have about 2 fingers width. After a period of about 30 to 90 days, you'll notice that when you squeeze it, you no longer have those 2 fingers. It's about 1 finger width. So if you feel that that's too soft, you'll need to adjust the barrel adjuster. And what you'll need to do is, for example, on this side, when you're adjusting the barrel adjuster, make sure that the cable is straight coming out so that it's easier for you to turn this part. This is your barrel adjuster. And what you'll do is you'll turn it out so that's about 1/4 of an inch till about right there. And then what you'll do is there's another locking nut. You'll just turn this back so that it's resting up against the black part of the brake lever. And then when you squeeze your brake, you'll notice you have the two finger width. It's no longer 1 finger. You can see how much tension you've added into the cable. And that's all you need to do. One of the most common questions we get here at ZiZZO is the brakes sticking after unboxing the bike. And the most common cause of this is actually the way the cable gets routed. So you'll notice that when I spin this front wheel, it's perfect, it spins without any kind of resistance. But when you fold the bike down, or you fold the stem down, you'll notice that the cable does get pulled a little bit, and that's why we have this spring here. But on occasion, this cable will get pulled and wrapped underneath the front reflector. And then when you unfold the bike and you get it ready to ride, you'll notice that the wheel doesn't spin freely anymore. And that's just because the cable was misrouted a little bit. And so the only thing you'll need to do is just bring it back around the reflector and it spins freely again. Another common brake issue where the brake is rubbing on the rim, you'll notice here, is how the brakes are centered. And if I squeeze the brake, you'll notice one side is pulling more than the other. This again is common with braking in. The springs inside the brakes will break in a little bit, and we've compensated for that. So if you do find that when the wheel is rubbing, or the brakes are rubbing on the wheel, or that one side is pulling more than the other, you'll just adjust these, what they're called brake centering screws. And so what I'll do right now is you'll notice that there's a screw on either side. Depending on what side is pulling more or what side is pulling less, you have 2 options. You can screw the side that's not pulling enough in, or you can screw the side that's pulling too much out. So in this case, I'll unscrew the side that's pulling too much. And so you'll notice when I'm squeezing, I'm also going to be unscrewing it a little bit. And this just lets me see if I'm going in the right direction. And you can see the wheel is now starting to spin freely, and both brake arms are moving more or less the same. Test it just to make sure it's okay. Wheel spins freely, and that's it.